Welcome back, everyone. I'm Nala.
And I'm Faith.
And this is the Siren's Den breakdown theories and things you may have overlooked for the series finale of Wandavision. We got there. It's been a journey. Looking back on like our past episodes and just experiencing the show and being like, wow, they did that for us. They gave us 9 episodes of quality Marvel content.
It's been really hard to believe that it's been a full 2 months since this thing first premiered. Just because this has been it's weird because this has been such a big part of just the week and day-to-day, and just the routine in general.
It's like Fridays or WandaVision.
Yeah, Fridays are
now
WandaVision, and every other day of the week is being like, "What's gonna happen next?"
Mhm.
And then we watch the next episode, and that's just been the
Honestly,
cycle, and I've loved that cycle, and I'm bummed for it to end.
well, now it's been extended because this is obviously not the end of Wanda. This was just like a really extra and elaborate setup for the next phase of Marvel. Like it really planted a lot of seeds that were going to be like, oh, I remember that being referenced in WandaVision when like news about it comes out. And you'll know that Marvel knows what they're doing. They've known what they've been doing for years and years. Like I'm still putting my hands, like my trust in their hands.
Yeah. Can we also just talk about how brilliant Paul Bettany just trolled everyone and just I don't think he intended to create this perfect, like chaotic theorizing storm that he did. I don't think he thought it was nearly going to go as off the rails as it had, and just so many of these theories being kind of tied to him. There's gonna be someone in the end. Who's it gonna be connected to? And like using that as kind of like the basis to form of like, oh, who's gonna be the big bad? Who are we gonna see at the end? How is this all gonna connect? Which is really, but I'm also like not mad about it because it was it's hilarious. B, it was so much fun.
Yeah. And before we get into spoilers and talking about the episode, we're gonna talk a little bit about prediction culture and like how people were in fact disappointed, like they predicted they were going to be about this episode. And it's like, yeah, they didn't give into every single prediction that every single person had, but the ride has been great. And it was a very satisfying finale. And these things that we were predicting, they weren't going to smush everything together into 9 episodes. They barely, gave us the story we got in 9 episodes. Unfortunately, we didn't see much of, maybe we'll get into this later, but Monica's powers. We only got a tiny, tiny little glimpse of that. And it's like, oh, well, that's fine. I'll just wait for more content.
Like there's a few things that I wish we got more of, but like I'm not so like theorizing, is it gonna be Mephisto or is it gonna be Nightmare or is it gonna be Chthon? Like that was just such a blast to be able
it was so fun.
do. And it was just really fun theorizing where these stories can go and kind of like trying to find where these links. And obviously the show was like giving references and just a lot of this to fans, just for that pure love of it. And on one hand, the finale was great. On the other hand, there are so many just little sides of the internet who hate the finale for dumb reasons. Like, it's okay not to like something, but like, please not like something for not awful reasons. Like, it wasn't Mephisto. Like,
that's
sorry, it was not that character guy.
To go off of your, point on Paul Bettany trolling everyone. In the end, it was just him. Like, that's hilarious. Oh, well, like, could it have been someone else? Yes. Could it have just been him? Yes, because we did get another version of him, another vision. And he did a great job. And I think that we need to stop expecting so much from studios who really like aren't going to be able to feed everyone's fantasy.
Yeah.
Just we got more Marvel content. What more can you ask for? I was happy with what we got. And whatever they did, I'm like, all right, let's see where it goes. Now I'm excited for Doctor Strange. Now with Monica Rambeau, I'm excited for Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. They're doing their jobs in like solidifying, like planting seeds on where the franchise can go.
And the other thing that is just really kind of funny about all these people being like, it wasn't what we were trying to predict, and therefore I didn't like it, is these tend to be the same people that when they do predict something, they're like, oh, that was so typical and so predictable. Like shows need to have a big twist ending. And then you have the problem of like shows trying to give like the twist ending and then changing everything because they don't want fans to be right, because they don't want that disappointment. And it literally, all the show fandom theorizing relationship needs to be is the show gives us hints, we guess, we're either right or we're wrong, but the real fun is the friends we made along the way. I don't know.
Exactly. And we were right about some of the theories, which were great to be right on. But we also got thrown for loops and like we didn't get everything we expected. And that's fine too.
All right. So after all that, this is your official final spoiler warning.
There's I mean, it was a very simple story. So let's get to it. We pick up where we left off, obviously, with her being called the Scarlet Witch and learning of her chaos magic.
So we see that Agatha, I still keep wanting to call her Agnes. Agatha has, again, Tommy and Billy by the neck, as they were in the last time. Nothing's changed since then. But they are, they're calling for help from their mom, and Tommy's saying, "Let go of my brother," which is, sweet, sweet child,
So
sweet boy.
wholesome. So wholesome. He's, the one that's been so, mean to him this whole time and has been like, you're the dorkazoid.
Yeah.
And Billy has always been like, geez, brother.
He's the Zach of their Zach and Cody.
Exactly. And it's just like, I always love, and it just makes everything so much more painful. This was a very painful finale. We could feel Wanda's pain on so many levels. And it's like, obviously the whole show was her going through the stages of grief in several ways, but this episode just like she went through all of them again.
Yeah. But yeah, Agatha, like, she slams the boys down, and then Wanda's like, dude, I'm not in your rune space anymore. Did you forget that I have my magic that I can just wallop you with? And like Agatha's like, yeah, go ahead. And ends up absorbing the magic blast that Wanda sends her way. And we see Wanda's arms start to turn black a little bit. And that's when Agatha reveals that she's here to steal the chaos magic. She takes magic from those who are undeserving of it. Can we also just talk about how good of a villain Catherine? I mean, this whole episode's going to be just us loving on Catherine Hahn, but
It's our Catherine Hahn love hour.
The Catherine Hahn love hour.
We devote a lot of hours to a lot of things.
Yeah.
She's absolutely a wonderful villain. She already played a wonderful villain in Into the Spider-Verse, and I was like, yes, more of that, please. And she's like, oh, all right, I'm going to give you like 5 different versions of Agatha Harkness. And in the end, be just like an evil witch. Like, hilarious.
Also, my favorite thing in the world was her going into this delightfully villainous monologue about how she knows how to handle this magic. She's the one who deserves it, blah, blah, blah. And then Wanda like hits her with a car from behind. The same red car that she drove into town with.
Excellent. I mean, that's a classic Wanda move. We've seen in Civil War. She likes throwing cars. If I had the power to throw cars, I'd do it. I mean, she can no longer do it to Iron Man. Obviously, she needs to find a new target. Rest in peace.
Yeah, Wanda doesn't play around. She
absolutely not. I mean, it's fun because it's like we have learned, or we've come to know Wanda as eventually a hero, but she did start off as a villain, and now she's kind of going back to her villainous route. So it's like it's a villain versus villain battle.
Yeah.
Which also, is always fun because they both have different motives.
Yeah. And not only does she like start off as a villain, she was like a twisted, delightful villain when she started
gave
off.
People nightmares, and she's like, hey, excellent.
Wanda doesn't mess around. That was a great throwback. That's also just her being a boss. I also really liked the shot that they did after that. It was because she hits Agatha with a car and swings her into a house, and then we see a shot of Wanda looking under the car, and we just see Agatha's boots.
Yeah,
All the
exactly.
Wizard of Oz, which the
Mhm.
show has played to a lot. And then, White
Dun,
Vision
da, da, da.
appears.
Which at this point, we obviously this is the start of the episode. Vision hasn't come back. We haven't seen him, in the present day for an episode. So we're like, where is he? Is he gonna find her in time? And we get a little scared because White Vision shows up and he's like, my only program is to kill. It's fabulous. I hate it. I hate
Yeah,
him. He's
he
wonderful. I just, also props to Paul Bettany for giving us two visions that were so alike yet so different. And it's just like,
mm,
if I was a legendary actor like Paul Bettany, I'd be like, I wanted to work with me for a long time too.
yeah.
He gave us something that we have wanted from him anyway. It all works out in the end, y'all. We're probably not going to see the end of White Vision either, as we'll get to later on in the episode. But he comes down, he says Wanda in his normal, charming Paul Bettany tone. And Wanda is just, confused. She doesn't know what's happening. And then he
She's
just becomes super cold.
Yeah, it's the way because she seemed so hopeful when she saw him, like, "Oh my god, it's actually not the vision I made out of thin air, it's my
Mhm,
actual vision," and
mhm.
and he puts his, palm on her face, and it was, it seemed so tender at first, and then
Mhm.
the other hand grabs her face, and he
Yep.
starts crushing her head.
Yep. Yep. Terrifying.
Ugh! And they had
Yep.
that crunch, they had a good this props to sound team, that crunch sound that they started to make there, it was gross.
I was scared for a hot second. I was like, how far are they willing to go? And it's funny because it's like that Vision has experienced head crunching of his own. So he knows the pain.
Yeah. But luckily, before anything too bad can happen to her, uh, Vision comes actual well,
Wham! Double
Vision
vision time.
double Vision. What? Okay, so I want to call him actual Vision, but we get into that later in the episode.
Faux vision, fission,
Hex Vision.
hex vision. Why not? Yeah, I'd like some cool hexagon glasses.
Yeah. But yeah, he Hex Vision comes and just decks White Vision off of Wanda. And he's like immediately all business. He's like, "Where are the boys?" And she's like, "They're in the rooms." Oh yeah, because when Catherine Hahn dropped them, she was like, "Boys, go to your room," because that's what a responsible mother would do.
Love her, love Mom Wanda, which is again painful. The pain. I'm not excited to relive it.
Yeah.
But we get, this double Vision fight that is just great. I love when Vision uses his phasing to get out of situations, which we got a lot of. It was also a callback to Age of Ultron and the fight that Vision had with Ultron, which is essentially what they stripped White Vision down to, with less of the free will, I guess, that Ultron had.
And we see Vision is going to go off Vision, and that's going to be an epic fight, which we'll get into. And then Wanda is going to go fight Agatha because witches fight witches, visions fight visions. It's very
crazy.
it's very well tagged.
So we see Wanda head out after Agatha, and the camera, the cinematography is always great. Like, this was a mini Marvel movie, so to speak, like aspect ratio, cinematography, all on point. The camera goes in through a window, and that's where we finally get to see more of Monica and Pietro's story. They're in the attic, and Monica's like, I need to go. Like, I just saw all of that happen, basically. And we need I need to figure out a way to get out. And obviously, Pietro's doing his usual snarky Quicksilver
Yeah.
accent.
Also, I feel like because Siren, was he describes his man cave, and all the items in the room. I feel like a lot of them. I haven't watched the X-Men movies he's been in a few years, so I can't say for certain. But a lot of them felt like the things that were in his room when they went to Pietro's room or Evan Peters Quicksilver's room in those
His
X-Men
name was
movies.
just Peter. he basically acts like an NPC character in this. He like just finds ways to disrupt Wanda, but also kind of provoke her, or Monica, but also provoke her. And she starts to, snoop around, and we get to.
But yeah, then we
Sorry,
get
y'all.
into Vision and Vision fighting each other a little bit more. And then we see that this is being monitored by Tyler Hayward. In the Vision versus Vision fight, it was really cool. They were just phasing in and out of each other.
Exactly. And Vision gives us what we all want, superhero landing.
Superhero landing.
I'm so happy. We get our second superhero landing, but Vision does it so beautifully. And this makes me happy on a lot of levels because, he's played Jarvis for a long time, and we're like, yeah, but like give Paul Bettany an actual physical role. And here he is getting to play a little superhero. And it's,
because other than
we have to love it.
Robert Downey Jr., like Paul Bettany's really been here since the beginning.
Exactly. Yeah.
So just seeing him get that love.
They keep phasing through each other. They're not going to be able to beat each other down physically because they're pretty evenly matched. So obviously they have to take it to another level, which is the mental stuff, the mind stuff.
Can we also talk about like when was it Hex Vision like stomped White Vision into the ground and made like, oh yeah, he stomped him into the ground when he did the superhero landing, and he stood up, and then like White Vision's arm comes out like a zombie and like pulls him
more.
And,
more
like
what if,
and like he shakes it off before they like fly into the disc, but also like it looked really zombie like, and White Vision is basically a robot zombie, so it was
resurrected Vision.
And then we go into Tyler Hayward is monitoring the two Visions. Boo, Tyler Hayward. Jimmy Woo's being brought into custody. I guess they got him in the meantime. Okay, so those of you guys who listened to our live little last minute theorizing we did before the episode premiered, I gave you guys the it's never gonna be verified, but I think it's true that Hayward and Jimmy Woo used to date and they're exes.
I literally watched this whole show thinking that. I watched this whole scene thinking that, and I was like, yes, this is so much better. Yes, yes, yes. They are absolutely exes. That's why he knows how to steal the phone.
That's how he knows how to steal the phone. That's why like their lines are so catty. Tyler Hayward has his like, Jimmy, if only you'd followed me.
Fabulous.
And Jimmy's like, I don't like it's it's all the lovers to enemies trope that I love.
Here for it.
Yeah.
That was absolutely fun. I love Jimmy and his like little character arc throughout movies, because by the end of this scene, he's handcuffed. Obviously, he has the phone now. But because he's a magician now, thanks to his inspiration from Ant-Man, he was able to get out of the handcuffs.
Yeah.
With a flourish, as magicians do.
I do want to say something that cracked me up is that there is in the shot where he takes the phone, like he has his hands are behind his back and the handcuffs, and he takes the phone. In the shot that they do that, there is a like sword security guy who is just staring at Jimmy Woo that whole time and doesn't say a word. Like you go back, like his eyes don't leave Jimmy and he's staring at his back. So I just like to think that this is just some guy who was about to watch his boss's day just get ruined and was like for it. It's like, I hate this guy. Yeah, I don't see anything. Anyway, that's something that just cracked me up. But yeah, Jimmy's like kind of bluffing at Hayward, and he says that
when he talks about getting someone from the FBI to come down on them. That's why he stole the phone, and now he's trying to call in that favor, which is absolutely a Jimmy thing to do. We love Jimmy Woo. This is our Jimmy Woo love hour starting now. Listen, we love characters a lot here.
Yeah. Can I also?
I know.
Yeah, I want to say though. None of the breakdown like videos I've seen have like mentioned that. Yeah, that's what that's Vision's line in episode 2. They've all been like, it's a callback to the fact that he does hand magic, and I'm like, it's a reference to a previous episode.
Yeah, he's been watching WandaVision just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Okay, I love
Uh,
that, obviously, magic is a big thing in this. And again, Jimmy Woo's his own kind of superhero by using his own kind of magic. We
mhm,
love it. We love to see it. And, he's referencing vision when he says flourish, but also it was a neat close up magic trick.
yeah.
A lot of plants, a lot of payoffs. Good stuff.
Jimmy Woo, he was bluffing the whole time. He didn't have the FBI going. He just had to call someone really quickly and be like, "Hey, I'm in some trouble." I like to think that the rest of that conversation's like, "Hey, so remember my terrible ex?" And, like, the guy on the phone was like, "Oh my god.
Oh my God,
Oh, that
Hayward.
Hayward?" And it's like, "Yeah, he
He's
has, like,
like,
a super weapon now," and, like, the guy's like, "Oh god, that can't be good. We'll send out a squad
He's
immediately."
like, "I'm sorry, Jimmy, there's nothing I can do. You know this. My hands are tied." And he's like, "Listen, I was handcuffed. My hands were tied. But do you remember Hayward?" And they're like, "Okay, I can make some exceptions now." It makes
Uh
it better. It makes it better.
Yeah, it makes Tyler way more interesting. I re
Absolutely.
Wanda, she's back at town square. She's looking for Agnes, Agatha, and she finds her. But yeah, this is where Agnes she's in front of a billboard on like top of a building, and she's like, "Wanda, you're the Scarlet Witch." There's a whole chapter about how awful you are in this Magica book.
Mhm.
And she that's when Agatha like twists her hand and we see Dottie. She's walking by and she takes Dottie out of the spell and Dottie goes up to her and she's like pleading to her like, "Oh my god, this is my real name. Please let my children go."
And she is not a witch, unfortunately.
Yeah. She's just asking for her daughter to be able to come out of her room, that she can be friends with your boys, just let her or the school bully, just anything so she can like see her kids again. And she's pleading to Wanda for this. And it really just kind of confirms that Wanda's done all of this. Like there
Yeah.
has been no other nefarious force. It's kind of the truth that Wanda hasn't wanted to acknowledge, but also I think one of the cool thing and kind of going back to what we were talking about theorizing, it's kind of the truth that we never wanted to acknowledge. They've been telling us this since episode 4 that it's all Wanda. And we've been all been going, yeah, but yeah, what if? Because that's an evil thing. And I think it's just kind of us as fans also not wanting to face the reality that uh yeah, this is Wanda is dealing with her pain in a way that is hurting a lot of people. And it's an ugly reality, but it's a good one. I mean, not but good storytelling one.
And I mean, she releases everyone else in the town that comes to Wanda, and they all start swarming her, very zombie like, very mob like.
Yeah. And also, like, they don't swarm her to be like, "You did this to us, we're gonna kill you now." Like, they're all pleading with her to either let them go, let them leave, or kill them. But yeah, they all start kind of surrounding her, just like pleading her with her to like let them go. And ugh, Wanda, my
It's
girl.
it's a lot. She's not only going through, her own stuff, now the town is waking up and all coming at her. Like a witch, she is a Scarlet Witch and it's almost like a witch hunt, like they're not gonna go burn her at the stake, but things are turning for her. And
Yeah.
we cut back then to the attic. Although I will say that, even though Dottie didn't turn out to be a witch like we theorized, it doesn't matter. But apparently her name does have connections with the actual Salem witch trials.
Sarah Proctor.
Yeah. Who got accused of being a witch by us. We accused her of being a witch. So we played our parts very well. Then
This
it
might
cuts back to Monica and Fietro,
yeah.
who we won't be calling Fietro for much longer in this scene. This
Uh
is one of the last moments of levity before everything gets sad again.
Mhm. Yeah, and, like, there's really no setup to the scene, it just kind of is immediately to Monica and Evan Peters are in the attic. Monica looks over, she sees a headshot with Evan Peters' face with the name under it of Ralph Boner.
Ah ha 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 ha.
Ah,
Boner.
Boner.
And it's so funny because it was a big scene and everyone's like, whoa, what is happening? Ralph Boner, what's going on? And he doesn't say anything to that. He's not like, oh yeah, but that's my pseudonym for Quicksilver, whatever. He's just like, yeah. He laughs at his own name because as the stoner persona that he has adopted, I would absolutely just laugh at my own name. Boner. But I have heard the theory that is very interesting that, says that Ralph is the missing, the witness. We never really get to talk about who the actual witness is, but he's either a failed actor who somehow lives in a pretty big house, or, yeah, and the fact that it is a headshot and the fact that he lives in this house that seems to be way too much more than he can afford. This might be Wu's missing person, because they give you headshots and character descriptions for you when you become, when you go into witness protection. So who knows?
So says
Reddit.
I will say I still think that it might be delivery guy. Just the "don't shoot, I'm just the messenger" line. Just
right.
It's so weird. It's such a weird line.
So of course, Marvel had to get a dick joke out there. Show their
goodness.
Big dick energy.
Thank goodness.
They trolled us again, and honestly, again, who cares? Like, I'm loving it. Why not? If you guys liked Evan Peters' Quicksilver, then go watch the Evan Peters' Quicksilver. It's simple as that. Relive that scene again. Lord knows I've seen it a lot of times. I don't,
Man, remember a few weeks ago when we were like, it's gotta be Magneto, guys. Evan Peters proves that Ian McKellen is the guy, and it was so fun. I'm not mad. That was what we got was equally cool. But anyway, Monica's like, okay, so your name is the dick joke. How is the Agatha controlling you? And she uses her spectrum powers, and she sees like this beaded necklace around his neck, and she yanks that off, and that's all it took. That's all the boner needed to be free.
Oh Lord.
He should really invest in some magical protection after this.
And he should probably see a doctor if his boner lasts within 4 hours.
But yeah, she releases the boner and then she jumps out the window. She pulls out real quick to just
switching on to the PG content of our show. We get some more Billy and Tommy action, and
we cut to Tommy and Billy. They're looking out the window, and Billy gets a psychic vision of Wanda being surrounded by the angry townsfolk and just like screaming in agony. And he's like, oh, dang, we should help Mom. That doesn't look good. He doesn't sing it like that, though. He's not very musical.
It turns into
Tommy
is
the musical twin. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, let's go help Mom. And then we cut to
before things get too crazy, because they do. Wanda loses control of her powers again and starts choking them with her chaotic energy.
The way they shot that was so creepy too. Like just the spinning camera and like the Wes Anderson close-ups on all the townsfolk as they're like, this is the awful thing happening to me.
They all go into each of their life stories and they're pleading with her. And everyone's talking at the same time and she's getting super overwhelmed.
Yeah, Wanda, like they're pleading with her to like how much, and they're telling her how much pain they're in, how they feel everything. And she's like, no, you're not. You're safe here. Everything's perfect here. And they're like, please just kill us if you're, don't keep us here. And the revelation of that like hurts her so much that she like starts choking everybody, like just through another kind of the same emotional
probably because
she
feels like she's choking.
Yeah. Which a lot of people, one of the other like silly things I've been seeing online of people who are mad at the finale, and they're like, Wanda reacted in a bad way to this. And it's like, yeah, the whole point of the show is a metaphor for like going through trauma and grief, and also how you handle that can be really hurtful to people if you're not like trying to take care of yourself. Like Wanda is someone who, and we see this throughout the last episode, that she was constantly turning away from the pain, like doing anything that she could do to instead of face the reality of her dead parents or her dead brother. And then finally she was able to do that a little bit like with Vision. And then when she lost Vision, she went it back into like these same harmful habits that weren't just harmful for her, but everyone around her. It's a metaphor for that, guys. Like, what are you watching if you don't want like a character? It would be She'd be so boring if she was like, "Oh yeah, this was I'm so sorry. That was terrible of me," and just stopped everything and turned herself into the FBI. And she's like, "I didn't realize this, but that's no excuse, and I'm gonna confront my like." That's not good storytelling.
Yeah.
She has so much farther to go and so much more to fall as a character that, ugh, she handled it poorly. Shut up.
You try going
That's
through the stuff she's going through and tell me if you do this any differently. Because,
yeah,
she also just has this power that she only mastered like she only got a few years ago. It's not like she's really grown up with it and learned how to hone it in. She's still trying to learn her own powers.
yeah,
So, Agatha's like, then let them go if you talk a big game. And she does. She starts opening up the hex, and Hayward is like, oh, it's our super easy entrance. So he sends in the tanks. But Wanda's gonna collapse the whole thing. Then she sees Vision and her family come to her. But because they were created from within the hex, they can only survive within the hex. And they start
yeah,
dismantling, almost like they're being turned to dust, all of Snap style, but
yeah.
also being
They
dismembered
the
block by
Yeah, like through
block.
like block, and which was a really good callback to House of M,
Mhm.
like which was totally intentional, but also just the thing that we knew was true, that these guys can't exist outside of this hex reality. It's again an inevitable truth that we've been like theorizing almost as a way to like maybe avoid that reality. But that's what it is.
Just give a shout out to the child actors because they did a great job being dismembered in a very tragic way.
Mhm.
I love these kids. I'm sad to see them go. I mean,
Yeah. So the family runs to Wanda after she put back the hex, and they kind of reunite as a family. They hug. It's very sweet. And then Agatha shoots a magic blast at them, and Wanda uses this magic shield to like protect them, and like Agatha starts stealing more and more of that power.
mhm.
Uh
I just this scene was also fun because it's one of the last times we get to see them fight as like a family. More
mhm.
so as like the Incredibles. We already talked about this. They reference that and they look like it. Super family. It's cute and adorable.
Yeah, it kind of ends with Agatha taking one side of the Westview Arena, and then White Vision taking another side of the Westview Arena, and then Tyler's military with guns taking another side of it.
Mhm.
Uh, it's just kind of the world against this family of four.
Yep.
And Wanda and Vision have like the coolest like superhero parent moment like this, because Vision's like, "Boys, your mother and I have never prepared you for a situation like this because we didn't think we had to." And then Wanda's like, "But it's okay because you were born for it."
I literally made you
Uh,
for this reason.
Agatha kind of like taunts Wanda about how they will always be hunting powerful women, always going after like with torches and pitchforks, blah blah blah. And she like lifts up the military and like it's about to slam them on the ground, and Wanda stops her.
Mhm.
She's not full villain yet.
Mhm.
Uh, and Wanda's like, okay, I gotta take care of her, and tells the boys to handle the military, which they do beautifully, no problem, not an issue. Billy uses his kind of Wanda side powers to kind of do a temporary mind freeze on these military buff dudes. And Tommy uses the opportunity to use his super speed and steal all their guns and some dude's hat and sunglasses.
Mhm.
Uh, and then they just kind of high five because that was awesome. And it
Mhm.
was. Can you imagine being 10 and just doing that to people?
A dream.
Hey, boys, handle the military. All right.
Finally.
Every 10-year-old's dream. But yeah,
And then
Tyler's like, I'm gonna murder these kids. So he gets out of his truck with a gun,
I'm gonna
and
real murder these fake kids.
and then Monica like sees that and like this is where we get to see one of the first instances of how Monica can be useful in a fight with her powers because she stops the bullets and
literally absorbs them. She turns into light. Her eyes turn gold. It's a beautiful, beautiful time.
And then one bullet makes it past her, and it turns out she didn't even really need to do that because Billy's like, "Oh, got it," and he's just like, he matrix that bullet. Monica and Billy have this cute exchange of like, "Your powers are really cool."
But
and
also,
then,
can we just talk about how Hayward just kept shooting? He just kept shooting. Even as Monica stepped in front, he kept shooting. What a jerk. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are some people who liked Tyler Hayward for some reason. There was Hayward defenders.
And then there
Not
were Hayward
not
haters.
and then there were the
I
Hayward
guess.
haters. I can't say that. Hayward haters. And I think it proved that the haters were correct all along. He sucks. And I think that was just like, in case there's a few holdouts, let's have him shoot some kids so we really know
And then continue to shoot
that this guy's the worst.
Yeah, and then continue to shoot someone that he knows. Well,
Mhm.
they cut back to him. He was still determined to empty out his clip on children.
Do you think that's why him and Jimmy broke up?
Honestly, yes. Honestly, I think Jimmy's like, I want kids. Jimmy wanted kids and he did not, and that was ultimately what was going to put an end to their relationship. But Tyler's also a murderer. Like he has murderous tendencies.
Yeah.
It was all for the best.
Yeah, and Tyler's like, "Oh God, my gun's out of clips. I didn't expect my plan of shooting children not to work. I got to get out of here."
But he doesn't get very far because boom.
Yeah, he doesn't get very far. He gets his getaway car makes it 2 feet before like Darcy comes out of nowhere and just slams it with her car and is like, "You're going to prison, bitch."
But comes out of everywhere at the same time. I'm glad she finally was able to get through all the obstacle courses in her little like funnel cake truck. That turns out to be, a tank. So
so we come back to Hexavision elaborating to White Vision what he means by if he's not actually Vision, if he's not the real Vision. And they talk about the ship of Theseus,
which is like a mental thought exercise talking about how if a ship is in a museum, if the ship of Theseus is in a museum, and over time the wood starts to rot and you replace the rotting wood and eventually replace all the rotting wood in the ship, is it still the ship of Theseus? Because nothing from the original ship has survived. Alternatively, if you take the wood planks, remove the rot, and put them back, is that the ship of Theseus as well? Because the rot was part of the life of the ship. So what is reality? It's a very existential question that he poses to himself. And Vision responds, or White Real Vision responds that neither are, but both are at the same time. It's very, Schrodinger's cat. It's very in the film world. We learned about this. This is not a pipe.
Yeah, they kind of come to the conclusion of like, oh, maybe neither of us and both of us are the true Vision. So Vision goes into how maybe the true ship is the rot and that the true Vision is memories. And then he's like, you have the ability to have memories, but that's being kept from you. And White Vision is like,
and so Vision does what Vision does best.
He kind of comes to the conclusion that he's a lot more controlled, be easily controlled as a weapon if he is unable to form a memory and attachment like that. And it's like, oh, dang, dude.
So he imprints, Ultron style. It's, another callback to Age of Ultron. He imprints all of the memories he's had as Vision. And it doesn't turn White Vision into, the colored Vision, but his eyes go from this like steely, icy blue. The where the Mind Stone used to be in Vision that was destroyed, now it's like a circuit board.
Mhm.
It turns yellow very briefly, but then it goes back to blue. And his eyes, instead of being an icy blue, are now the regular Vision eyes, which are slightly less blue. Essentially, he can see clearly now. His vision has been cleared.
Rain is gone.
So,
He got
so exactly. Now White Vision is seeing 2021 technically.
yeah. I do think it's notable that when because we briefly see where the blue kind of data circuit when it turns yellow, but it turns blue again after the
Mhm.
memories are imprinted. It doesn't stay yellow. And then White Vision kind of flies off into the
Well, he
ceiling.
says I am Vision,
Mhm.
and then flies off. So it's like I'm wondering what the fly off is meant for. I mean, we don't know if that's him going to destroy himself. I'm not sure because I don't think this is the end of White Vision. He's not going to help Wanda though, so it's like I don't know. Is he still? Does he retain any of the feelings for her, or does he now just have memories with no personal attachment?
We go back to the Agatha Wanda fight, and once again Wanda pulls her old tricks where she appears behind Agatha as she done to Tony in Age of Ultron, and does
Mhm.
like the little like mind trick thing where she makes her experience her worst nightmare, which in this case is kind of a throwback to her being tied to the stake by her coven. We see the coven rise from the dead as zombies, and she seems really freaked out about it until she's not. And she takes total control of the vision and the fantasy and throws it onto Wanda. And again, Agatha is such like we established through the show that Wanda is just a absolute powerhouse, but
Mhm.
Agatha is nothing to be trifled with.
Mhm.
Like she keeps up with Wanda for the most part. Even like when something like this, where I do think Wanda had control of that fantasy at first,
Mhm.
uh, and I think Agatha is just adaptable. I think she's adaptable and kind of in the background was like, oh, okay, this is what's happening, and took control of it.
Just like she did in the actual episode it's or like the actual memory it's referencing, what she did to those witches, she turned it on them. They thought they had control, and it turns out that she knew a lot more than she was letting on, which is I think something that Wanda also picked up on in a mentor like way. She's like, okay, wow, she just made me believe that I was in control, and then she switched it on me, which is something she later does. But I think this does a really good job of introducing that horror is going to be a theme in the next phase of Marvel, because obviously Doctor Strange 2 is directed by Sam Raimi, and this was a very like Evil Dead thing.
Yeah, it was very spooky.
Yeah.
I love that they have gone full into that. They're not like alluding to ooh, but it's Marvel witchcraft, so it's different. They're embracing all the fun of spooky Halloween witchcraft, and it's great. I love it.
Mhm.
I love that it's girl power. It's two just awesome female badass witches kind of having a battle of wits before throwing magic at each other. Because Wanda doesn't play around.
I like this scene, especially because we get to see how manipulative Agatha is.
As the zombies are surrounding her, she kind of has like what she had in Agent of Ultron, where she has this power burst out of her. It throws back the
We see the
zombies, and
we see
then
the first glimpse of that M crown.
oh yeah, the M crown.
We see the first that we get our first glimpse of her wearing that crown, the Scarlet Witch's crown that we've seen her wear in the Halloween episode, and now here it is in a magical form before she bursts out with all the energy, because she she gets imbued with knowledge.
Yeah,
And that was, the wrong call on Agatha's part, because now Wanda is like, "Uh-oh, I am super powerful."
yeah,
And she gets all of them away from her, and she's like, "Okay, I'm pretty evenly matched with Agatha, but I'm going to tackle her. She's like 2000 years old, and I'm just gonna body slam her to the ground. If I can't, use magic against her, I might as well use my own for my own body force.
Going back to Wanda doesn't play around ever.
Yeah. No,
She
she don't mess with Wanda in any way. Bottom line, she will mess you up.
Mhm. So throughout this whole time, Agatha has kind of been trying to make a deal with Wanda, as witches do. If you give me your magic, then I will let you live the rest of your life with your made up fantasy in Westview. No one will ever bother you again. It'll be perfect. I will fix your imperfections in the spell. It's a good deal, and you should take it. And
Mhm.
Wanda, this time around, kind of responds with, "Okay, you want my magic? Yeah, you can have it. I'm gonna throw it all at your face."
And Agatha thinks that it's, oh, foolish girl, you're giving me all your magic willingly. But no, it's just part of Scarlet's plan. She hits, the hex and the sky goes red. And, I'm a big fan of, in Guardians of the Galaxy, they had purple explosions and it's just like elements of different colors. So we get this cool battle in a red, like a blood red sky. And it looks awesome. But from outside, from inside the hex, you just see flashing lights. From outside the hex, you just see lights hitting the hex, and you're just wondering what's going on.
Yeah, they had this great shot of Jimmy and the FBI who just showed up because he just called them in, watching this hex. Which Jimmy has to be standing there being like, "Oh God, Hayward, what did you do?" Because the last he saw of Hayward, he went into the hex and it closed on him. And so far, Jimmy's experience with this whole operation has kind of amounted to Hayward does something that makes Wanda angrier. The hex got worse. And now that it's glowing and there's explosion sounds coming from it.
Of course, Hayward goes in and makes everything worse. Jimmy
Mhm.
knows that. But I mean, so after that, Agnes thinks that she got all of Wanda's powers. Wanda's like floating there, almost, like a rag doll. She's tired. She looks really thin. It's spooky. And then you think, oh no, Agnes is or Agatha has everything. What's going to happen? I like how her fingers turn more black when she absorbs more power.
Yeah, but something if you noticed that when you were watching the fight is that Wanda, she's throwing this magic at Agatha, but a lot of it is missing Agatha completely, and you see it
Mhm.
hitting the walls and the barriers of like the fight going on around them.
Yep, that's what it is. And I I think it's funny that Agatha makes hissing sounds when she uses her spells. It reminds me of Ewan McGregor using lightsaber noises every time he fights. It's just a callback to just being super cheesy villains, which is what she is.
Mhm.
But I thought this reveal was great. Wanda, completely flips the tables on her. And just like you said, she was shooting stuff at the hex, but not just because she was missing, because she was putting these runes on the hex. And she just totally switched, Agatha's game on her by
Only the witch who casts the runes can.
because only the witch who casts the runes can use magic.
Yeah.
I thought this part was interesting because she first tells her that she's not a witch because nobody taught her how to use spells. And canonically in the comics, Agnes or Agatha is a kind of mentor figure to Wanda who does teach her how to use her magic. So this is kind of a callback to that. She's thanking her for the lesson. It's she Agatha actually ended up teaching her a lot. She taught her about the Darkhold. She taught her about these runes. She taught her about, pretending you're powerless and then switching it up and using your powers against people. And it's just like all those things were dropped and picked up by Wanda because she's very smart.
The look on Agatha's face as she figures out what Wanda did and what's about to happen is golden. And we see that that awesome helm start to appear on Wanda's face again. Uh, and
Mm-hmm.
now Agatha
But
pleads
now
with her
it's
for
more.
real, and Wanda just takes all that freaking magic and like fully embracing it. And it's we get it. She turns into the Scarlet Witch. We see this
She has
beautiful
her
image of like magic
anime.
flowing behind her. into this kind of like angelic, demonic figure.
It was very Sailor Moon, very magical girl transformation.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, obviously we knew what was happening. As soon as we saw that crown form, we were like, there we go. We're getting that premonition. We're getting Scarlet Witch's full comic or her full Scarlet Witch outfit, which was glorious. I absolutely love her full Scarlet Witch outfit.
100%.
Hell yeah. The Scarlet Witch with a dope costume that I really, really want to cosplay.
Yeah. And then most interesting line of the series in the setup for what's to come, Agatha just very genuinely goes, "Oh God, you don't know what you've done," like horrified. And like, Agatha's realized she's totally lost, and she's like, "Dude, you don't know what you've done. You got to let me teach you." And like that, I like that it goes to not from like a, "Oh, please let me live," blah blah blah. Like it's very much like, oh, there's a little bit of that, but it's very much the fear is like, you need this. You need me to teach you. Wanda reveals that she is going to imprison Agatha in Westview. She's going to turn Agatha into the role that she chose, which is Agnes, the nosy neighbor. And Agatha is like, and this is the most horrified she is, like even more than like whatever Wanda's about to do to the world. She's like, oh God, anything but that. She calls Wanda cruel, and Wanda smiles because she absolutely is. She always has been, ever since Age of Ultron. And yeah,
I like her switch to this version of Agnes, the nosy neighbor, that we haven't seen, because you can see you can see that she's trapped
yeah, you can see the
in
pain
her
in her eyes,
which is just like props to Catherine Hahn.
Yeah, and she's saying like all these like cheesy sitcom things, but like in a really like please kill me way.
Yep.
So we see that once Wanda transforms Agatha into suburban housewife, mom, nosy neighbor Agatha, she still has the brooch, the brooch that she stole from her mom after she sucked all her magic away and turned her into a lifeless husk that we've seen her wear throughout the show. She still has that on, and we know that that brooch has some sort of significance because she took it from her coven leader, like very purposely. So we know that that is a link to something important and something tied to her that we're going to keep seeing. And it's very much implied that we're going to see more of Agatha. This is not the end of her. We have her conveniently in Westview, New Jersey when we need that. I'm personally curious to see if it's going to be Wanda who gets way in over her head and is like, okay, dude, I need you to fix me, or if it's going to be more of a maybe like Doctor Strange is like, oh God, we need an expert. And like Agatha feels like a very morally gray character, but she also doesn't feel like a evil witch who wants evil and to burn the world because she very much is afraid of whatever apocalyptic stuff that Wanda is going to bring down on the world. Which, if you are a devout follower of like the Darkhold, and there's a chapter devoted to that, that might be something that you're a little bit more into. But she's not. She's like, oh no. She had the line earlier about wanting to take magic from those who aren't worthy enough to use it. I don't think that's because I think it's because she thinks she's better than them. That, but also this magic in the wrong hands is apocalyptic, and you are definitely the wrong hands, which it's not wrong. It's not wrong.
And also that's kind of a callback to Doctor Strange and the Chitwell's character, Mordo. Thought so. I thought it was Mordo. Mordo at the end, is on a hunt for people who use magic to take it away from them because he also is like too many sorcerers. So that's, another tie-in almost to Doctor Strange. This movie is heavily going to be setting up Doctor Strange first and foremost. Doctor Strange can then go and set up whatever it wants, but they name drop the Sorcerer Supreme, which Strange is now, and they're leading up to a big showdown with the both of them. So I'm excited for more magic battles. We'll get to, where Wanda's future as the Scarlet Witch lies afterwards. But she knows what she has to do. She knows that she has to correct her mistakes. And that does mean we did, have a theory correct, which was that she has to destroy the hex or she has to take it down.
Yeah. Um,
which is where the heartbreak starts.
yeah. And then the next 20 minutes of the episode are basically Wanda saying goodbye to this family that she made from her grief.
Yes.
We start off with them walking home as a family, kind of in silence, back into like this house that Wanda created on an empty lot for the last time. Vision and Wanda are holding hands. They transform into like their sweatpants and sweatshirts like it's a normal like evening. It's and meanwhile throughout every like scene of Wanda saying goodbye to her family and preparing to like never see her family again, we see the hex as it's shrinking. Because it's not an immediate thing because Wanda wants to say goodbye to her family. She knows this is a limited time, and they tuck the boys in to say goodbye one last time. They give them kind of like a pep talk. Wanda and Vision look like they're both about to bawl. And they're saying how proud they are of them, and I'm like, I wonder, do the boys know what's about to happen?
I think Wiccan, since he's connected with Wanda's powers, I think Billy might have an inkling
Yeah.
to what's happening. But the first time it was like they didn't know what was going on, and when Wanda opened up the hex, they were like, "What's happening? We're being destroyed." But they're a part of Wanda. I guess they feel what she feels, and if she's stopping, she's if she's taking this in stride, she's not gonna. I guess she's not gonna let them freak out.
I think one of the most heartbreaking shots of this is that shot of Wanda looking at Tommy and then seeing the hex coming for them outside his window.
Mhm.
And just immediately, yeah, she
Yeah.
says, "Thank you for choosing me to be your mom." And then they go to sleep and they close the door. And Wanda, we cut to more things being turned back to normal, and then Wanda is turning off all the lights in the house.
And this scene is so cute.
Yeah,
I love them so much. This
he
is
yeah, and it's just
You
it's
can really see
really,
how much they love each other in this.
yeah, and it's really kind of the goodbye that they never got to have.
Mhm. So in this scene, Wanda is turning off all the lights. I guess that's just easier for her. She is looking at a family photo of all of them just one last time when the light turns on behind her. And Vision tells her that he heard somewhere that it's bad luck to say goodbye in the dark, which makes absolutely no sense. And she calls his bluff and is like, "No, you didn't hear that anywhere." But it does its job. It makes her feel better. Because then he tells her that maybe he just wanted to see her, just see her clearly. Because, with everything that's happened, that's basically, going back to their scene in Civil War in the hotel, that was in the dark. And that was the last time they really saw each other before everything went to hell.
Mhm.
So this is it's like a juxtaposed scene to that one, but it's done very differently. And I think that because this Vision is a part of Wanda as she eventually tells him. That was a very important moment to her. But this scene, it hurts.
Yeah.
She finally tells him everything. She tells him that, she shouldn't have kept him in the dark, I guess. And she tells him that he is the part of the Mind Stone that lives in her. And, he is everything that she loves about him and everything that she will continue to remember. And honestly, oh, this part that he says as the hex is closing in on them, what they say is very, very cute because it's something that we've come to know.
It's a really beautiful scene.
Mhm.
It's just kind of both of them confronting this inevitable reality. It really it felt like Fight Club a little bit.
Yeah.
When
Mhm.
Edward Norton and Marla watch the world burn. Uh
Yeah.
and but just a writing was so good. I was just sobbing like a baby throughout that
Yeah.
entire scene. Vision asked Wanda, "I have to know before I leave. What am I?" And Wanda has this beautiful monologue saying that he is the part of the Mind Stone that exists with her. He is the memory of Vision. He's her love that she has for him. It's you a you know that aspiring actresses everywhere are going to be using that as a monologue for like the next forever, which they should. It's a great monologue. Um, yeah, Vision's response to all that as he's about to vaporize into nothing is that he has been a voice without a body, and now he is a memory come to a body that wasn't human, and now he's a memory that comes to life. And just kind of this hopeful, this isn't the end for them of who knows what form I will be taking next.
Which then leads to just more beautiful lines of
Mm,
he's had many incarnations before. So if we've said goodbye before, it stands to reason. And Wanda finishes off his sentence of we will say hello again, which was had me dead. It was tragic. It was just
yeah,
a beautiful line because again that just made me hopeful because their story has been tragic so many times in so many different ways, but they've still come together over and over and over again. So it's just like I think one time, may hopefully in the future, it's gonna stick for both of them because they deserve it.
want them to have that.
And yes, I want them to have that too, because he says, to which Vision says, "So long, darling," because it's not a goodbye. It's we'll see each other again, which is what Wanda needed to hear
Yeah.
for everything to finally be okay again, as
Uh,
okay as it can be.
and then everything disappears and she's in that empty lot wearing the clothes that she started out in, not the sweatshirt and stuff that she created for herself. I
Mm.
wonder if Monica's awesome fish 70s outfit is still in that form.
The Kevlar
Mhm.
fish pants. I think maybe not because if it was created within the hex and if the hex is destroyed and if Wanda is back to her normal clothes, I think maybe that outfit did in fact disappear.
It's maybe like fizzled out. That makes sense. She stands in her empty lot, and it's daytime. It was night when the but we know that time didn't work the same. So it's in the day. It's the middle of the afternoon, and she just does this walk of. She puts her hood up and does this walk of shame in town. Like all the people she's had hostage for the last however long are just all there, and they're all looking at her like this
Mhm. This witch.
this witch has the audacity to show
Mhm.
her face here again,
Yeah.
and none of them are gonna do anything. Like, can you imagine if Norm had been like, "I'm gonna fight you for what
Yeah.
you did"? Like, do you think they all had like the thought of like, we could wait,
Yeah, I
we would
think I
win?
think they did very briefly. But then they're like, I don't know what. I think they were just tired by the end.
Yeah,
Everyone's tired. They're like, she's not. She clearly has her hood up. She's going Marvel incognito as they usually do, the classic Marvel costume. And they're like, she clearly is looking at everyone like, don't mess with me. You've seen what I can do. So, but maybe for a split second, they're like, we can take her down. She sees Monica, and there's like a silent thank you between them. That she took bullets for her children. That's nothing to take lightly. I
yeah.
think this is the beginning of an awesome friendship. I would definitely like to see more Monica and Wanda together in the future.
Oh yeah, I think they're gonna have a good few fights in the future.
Absolutely.
I think that they have a really interesting superhero and their antagonist relationship that
Hmm.
can really form here. I will say, like normally I've been on Team Monica when she defends Wanda or just like has empathy for Wanda, but they're never gonna know what you gave up for them. Like yes they do. Hey yes they and like Wanda responded to that perfectly of like that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Uh, it's been too yeah.
Well, I guess this whole thing happened in like a week though, didn't it?
Yeah, no, they're definitely like one of the things that people like the critiques I've been saying online is that like Wanda, she uh she like did this bad thing to all those people, and like she needs to like deal with that. And it's like, yeah, you're right. And that's why we're gonna see that character arc in future Marvel projects. Like
Mhm.
obviously this has been a setup for something. That's always what it has been.
Yep.
Um Marvel characters in like the movies and shows that they're in. It's not a this is the beginning of the character arc, and at the end of the movie is the very end of the character arc, and that is their whole story. No, it's very much stages of character.
Mhm.
It sets them up for whatever the next phase that they're gonna, and ultimately a lot of those character arcs do have a resolution at the end. Tony Stark and Captain America, I think, are both two great examples of just a really fully realized throughout multiple movies. And yeah, she's not a good guy. The show ends on that note. Like Wanda leaving this is not a hero. She's not a superhero. She's not the good guy. That's the point.
Yep. This
Um,
is not setting up Wanda to like go off and be a hero. This is I mean, Wanda's story is a roller coaster. There have, it started down now and then went up and now it's down. She needs to go up again.
yeah,
Such is the character of the Scarlet Witch. When you have that much power coursing through you and that much to deal with, like, of course, you're not going to be a completely one sided character.
I will say one thing I really do like that they've done with the way they've written her, because a lot of times that they when there's this awful trope of like women becoming super duper powerful and going crazy because they can't handle it and it breaks them. And I like the fact that Wanda's powers has nothing to do with her mental state. Her mental state is entirely based off of just her and what she's been through. She just happens to be really, really, really powerful on top of it. But it's not this, the powers are making her crazy and she can't handle it. It's she has powers and also is dealing very poorly with all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's such a beautiful story. And it's such I think just a powerful story, the way that they told it, and just the way that everything was revealed to be what it is. It's great. Good ending. I love the finale. Fight me.
Mhm. So we get Wanda flying out. Her outfit completely changes into her Scarlet Witch getup, which is complete with a cape. She, does a little Superman fly out with her billowing cape down below. She looks away, or she looks off at Westview again, and then boom, we're done. We're done with WandaVision. Wow, great stuff. I liked it. I thought it did really like it serviced the story pretty well, and we're not done with it. Again, this is something that we're going to be binging again, getting more out of it, and once new Marvel content gets announced, we're going to see the puzzle pieces fully coming into place, which is dope.
Yeah, it's really been it's been such a beautiful show. I think it's probably one of my favorite pieces of Marvel content that we've gotten. It's up there with Thor Ragnarok for me. So really, really well done. I'm really excited to see what Marvel does in the future. Also, uh, do you think that everyone at Falcon and the Winter Soldier are just like, oh God, we have to come a week? We only get a week for
They're
people
like, we
to
have to
forget
compete with
that?
this.
We have to follow that?
But wait, there's more. It's not the end of Wanda, actually. Psych, just kidding. Misdirection. We get not one, but two post credit scenes. Bless the Marvel gods. The
That
first one isn't not about Wanda, but we get more Jimmy.
we get more Jimmy. He's taken over the aftermath of the situation because Tyler's fired.
Mm-hmm. He's so happy with himself.
Mm-hmm. And he's excelling. It's everything is ran way better. He should have been in charge of this from the beginning. I wonder if he's gonna be like a main sword guy, if he's gonna switch over there, or if he's gonna get some
I
big promotion.
I think so. I think FBI is a little too dull for him at this point. I think he's gonna go back to his usual FBI cases and be like, no, I dealt with something way cooler. I'm gonna go to that thing.
But yeah, Monica gets brought into they're like an agent walks to her and it's like, we got to debrief you in the theater, and she's like, okay, that makes sense. And it's just the two of them in the theater, and this agent turns to her and is like, An old friend of your mom's heard you got grounded and wants to see you up there. She points to the ceiling and turns into a scroll.
We're talking about Fury here. Like I said, I'm excited to see Monica and Fury interact because they already met in the past. He's going to see that she's a superhero now. There's just a lot. No one's ever really gone in this Marvel franchise. We're going to be seeing Fury again. It's going to be awesome.
Wait to see what Fury is doing on that space station. Because we see him on a space station with scrolls at the end of Spider-Man. So we know that's where he is. And now Monica's going to be up there joining him. So
I'm excited for that. All the possibilities.
Space
and
Avengers.
That's the end of our mid-credit scene. Then we go to our final post-credit scene. Oof. It's a beautiful drone shot. It's very peaceful. The drone is showing you this landscape with, snow-capped mountains and a bunch of trees. Perhaps it's Sokovia, which would make sense for Wanda to return. But, it zooms in on this cottage in the woods. And we see Wanda sitting outside, very Thanos-y after the snap when he goes to his planet. So it's kind of almost sinister-like. But she's alone. She doesn't have neighbors. She doesn't have anyone that she can potentially hurt or talk to. She's just chilling. She goes inside after she finishes her drink. And, you expect to be like, okay, Wanda is starting to heal and everything is fine. But no, because we don't focus on Wanda. We actually leave her to get more tea and go into the room. What's in the room? What could it possibly be? Oh, snap. It's other Wanda, astral projection Wanda, who is reading the Darkhold and is just training now. She is getting while she's making tea. So this is very reminiscent to Doctor Strange and how he, astral projects when he's sleeping. But Wanda's doing it while she's awake and doing other stuff, again, with that magic on autopilot. But you'll see that it doesn't show the Darkhold and like the books, like the pages she's reading.
So in the comics, the Darkhold is basically your end-all be-all magic book for all evil, spooky, bad, demonic things, demonic magic in the Marvel Universe. We're probably going to see it a lot in Blade. It's definitely going to come up in Doctor Strange. It's tied to Chthon, the god of chaos. His soul lives in the book. But yeah, Wanda's just really studying up on the Darkhold while astral projecting like it's nothing. And
that's scary.
WandaVision didn't end with Wanda breaking the multiverse, but that's what she's gonna do, I bet.
Pretty much, because it ends with her being snapped out in the astral plane by her kids, Billy and Tommy, calling out for her again. And whoop, she closes that, like she ends the show with that cliffhanger. So I am very excited to see where that takes. So again, really, really well done show. A lot of people were confused as to like why the format was so weird and the story seemed to be so, bizarre, but it boils down to being a story about grief and losing people and how it hurts. And I think that was a very beautiful underlying story that Marvel has touched on these subjects, the subjects of PTSD and anxiety, and now they're hitting grief. So it's like I like seeing them touch on real human subjects that we all go through.
Yeah, it's been such a ride. It's been so much fun just to like watch and be excited for and just have it as just part of the routine. Just the daily routine, not the daily, the weekly routine. I'm bummed it's over. I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening next in the Marvel universe. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be really fun, and yeah, I loved it. Catherine Hahn and Elizabeth Olsen and everyone really, but mainly those two deserve Emmys.
And that is our final WandaVision breakdown episodes, but not the end of our breakdowns. We will definitely be doing this come Winter Soldier, come Loki, come anything and everything Marvel decides to release.
Yeah. So tune us in next time in a couple of weeks when Falcon and the Winter Soldier premieres. I don't know if it's going to be nearly as theory heavy. If we're going to be latching on to every little detail, like what if it means this?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be a fun ride nonetheless. Tell us what you thought of the finale in the comments, or send us an email at sirensdenpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Ty, our producer, and Sean Thomas at fuzzstudio.com for our theme song.
Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.